Call to order the meeting of the St. Augustine Port, Waterway, and Beach District. Today is May 19th, 2020. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Present.
Commissioner Rivers. Commissioner Way.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Flowers.
Here.
Adoption and approval of agenda. Any comments, questions, or anything with regard to the agenda? Okay, I make a motion we approve the agenda.
Second.
Adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Who seconded that? Okay.
Matt. Okay, public comment. Anybody in the public have any comments or anything they'd like to say? Okay. Moving right along. Government representative comments. Anybody in the government have any comments or anything they'd like to state?
Who's going on first?
Steve, you are.
No one else wants to speak?
No,
We're on the agenda already.
they're on.
Yeah.
You go.
All right, go ahead.
Oh,
I'm still writing my notes.
Hi, Sydney Lindblad, Natural Resource Program Manager, St. Johns County Beach Services. Just an update on the beaches. We are coming up to Memorial Day weekend. We do kind of see every weekend now as a holiday weekend. This past weekend, we sold in our revenue over $26,000 for both Saturday and Sunday, which is an unheard of number. Last year, Memorial Day, we sold about 15,000 in passes, so last weekend was pretty incredible. So we're expecting to see the same number this weekend as well. We also finished the pier construction, so that has been open for the past few weeks free of charge. Just with all of the CDC guidelines with COVID, we haven't really reopened the gift shop, but we are doing that starting this Friday. So it will be, people can come in, we'll have refreshments, food, and then also the access fee will be applied again for the pier. And I think that's really all for the beaches, if you guys have any questions. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Next person.
Jim Piggott, Director of General Services, City of St. Augustine. Commissioners, I have a couple boats, new boats that we want to pull. One boat, it's a 22-foot Columbia sailboat. We are pulling this, the majority of it, with a FWC grant. However, it's been in the ground so long, Yelton needs to have a diver to go down, which is $1,000. And if we go back to FWC to change our grant, modify it, it's going to be 6 or 8 weeks, and it could be that much worse off, harder to get up. So asking for $1,000 for that boat to cover the diver. We had a boat that broke loose that we had sea-tow catch that was floating down the interlocal, and that was a $700 charge. And then we have another 40-foot Hunter sailboat that's by the 312 bridge. So the total ask for derelict boats, if you will, is $4,205.48.
4205.48.
$42.05.48.
Sounds expensive for the diver. I mean, what can he do for $1,000? No.
It's his diver. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. All right.
Got to figure out where they're going to put the floats and stuff inside there if it's really embedded in the mud.
It's out of my area of expertise.
It's dirty work.
Okay. All right. Want to vote on this to whether or not we're going to go ahead and do it?
Isn't the derelict boats on your budget?
Yeah.
It is in the budget.
It is, but I still want to request.
I make a motion that we pass it.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
The second thing I have is for budget purposes for next year. We just want to be able to allocate the same amount of resources for overtime and derelict boats. No change.
So that would be for the city, 8,000, right?
For the overtime, and I think it was 25,000 for the overtime, or for the derelict boats,
Derelict boats is 25, yeah.
25. That's what I have.
Mr. Pickett, is there any word on that boat in the holy hole?
I would turn that over to
Okay,
It's Sergeant Whitehead's.
okay,
our PD.
okay. I thought that was gonna be a winner, but it's still sitting there,
We
so
have
I'm
about 10 boats. They were, I know our contracted vendors have been delayed because of the virus.
right. So if it goes floating but down Hospital Creek, where you want us to tie it to? A marker or a mooring ball? I mean,
Preferably a marker in my case, but,
understood.
so,
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
what can you tell us are they doing the fireworks or not? Are they still up in the air? Because my wife was really happy to hear it.
what I know of the fireworks is it's going to be brought back up to the city commission the end of this month. They previously voted yes with some erroneous information that they had that was given to us, who's around us shooting fireworks off.
Yeah.
So they're going to they're going to do a special meeting. I don't know the date in a week or two.
Well, we've had to have a party for 25 years. She was looking forward to the break.
You can still have a party.
No, she doesn't want to have the party.
That's where I get my food.
I know, I feed you guys.
You'll get me over an invoice for the diver and for the derelict boat removal?
Yeah, when they're all pulled.
Okay,
We have like 10 or 11 that have been pre-approved already. They're just very slow getting back out there.
okay.
The weather conditions got to be, this is from an Army guy, the Navy can't get out there because the weather conditions are pristine for them to go out there and pull the boats, so.
Ooh, is that a dig?
Thanks, Jim.
Lieutenant Zukowski.
It's not my phone, so.
LT, you got 3 minutes.
2 minutes.
No, I've got like 3 months of, never mind. Oh, all right. Steve Zukowski, Fish and Wildlife Lieutenant, Patrol Supervisor for Coastal Flagler and St. Johns Counties. As you can see, I'm finally back. I was back last month, but we didn't have a meeting, so we'll see how long I'm back for at this point in time. But I have a bunch of information for everybody. My understanding is one of my officers, Josh Lawrence, came by, I think the last meeting before, maybe it was March, before the shutdown, requesting financial assistance with the boat lift at Volano. Is that correct? Do you all remember that? Okay. Just want to let you know I've passed that up the chain of command. Let me explain how it used to be in old days. I think the only person here is Commissioner Benjamin, who was here when I asked for a boat lift at the City Marina years ago. That was probably about 10 years ago at this point. And it was more of a streamlined process where the local lieutenant, myself, worked with you guys, and we got it done. Sent it up to Tallahassee just for final coordination with Mr. Piggett's people and a few others at the city. It's not the way it is anymore. There's much more red tape on the part of my agency. So the request has gone up through my captain. My captain has sent it up. He sent it up there for, I guess, a LBR line budget request before you all told Officer Lawrence that you would support it. So we've got to redo it and send it up, but I appreciate the commitment you're making to us on that, and we appreciate it greatly. Things have gotten delayed for a lot of reasons with us, but again, there's more bureaucratic steps now than there were 10 years ago. So I will update everyone on that again next month and let you know where it is. Okay, so any questions on that, anybody? All right. Boating safety. Since I've been back, I've been on the water now 4 weekends in a row, and it might as well be a holiday boating weekend because people are they got nothing better to do. There's no sports, and everyone's recreating out there, which is fine. But during my travels, as usual, the boating, the buoys for the boating regulatory zones underneath all the bridges, one is missing, 2 are missing out of the 4. It's the same old issue and problem again. I didn't ask you, Josh, are the Tallahassee aware of that? Have you been letting them know, or do I need to call them up there? and they'll just,
Let them know, because they quit responding to me.
yeah, well, they'll hang up on me too, but I'll handle it, so. That's one thing that's gonna have to be rectified. As you probably know, year after year after year, I've requested that they put signage in and not buoys, but they won't do it. So, it hampers law enforcement and it hampers boating safety to a certain degree when those things just get run over by a large vessel or a barge in the middle of the night. And next thing you know, they show up anywhere from Bird Island to Hospital Creek to the jetties at Anastasia to maybe there's one or two over in France or Portugal by now. I don't know. So we'll see. It's just very frustrating for those of us in law enforcement because when their new ones are put in, they literally last. We're lucky if we get 2 weeks out of them before one of them is sheared off and it's lost. So it's frustrating, but life goes on. So I just want to let you know, I am aware of that as my eyes are still working, so I can see them. I've made note of it. You're probably also aware many of the aids to navigation in the inlet, if they're not all off station, they're just about are, and one of them washed up on, was it Bird Island, right? Chris, didn't you take that picture? So thank you. Yeah, so Coast Guard aid to navigation people up in Jacksonville are aware of it. I don't know if you know it, the small boat station aid to navigation team in Jax Beach, they take care of most of the inland buoys, or day boards and beacons. The large ships, there's 2 of them out of Jacksonville, Mayport, take care of our inlet stuff, the larger aids. And those ones right now are not, they're not underway, is my understanding. But again, I'll find out more about that. I might head up to the Coast Guard station, Mayport, and speak with them later this week for the holiday. In terms of boating accidents, we've had a few fender benders in the last couple of weeks. We had one at Comanche Cove Marina where a sailboat was departing a slip and said hello and banged into a yacht on the other side of the entrance channel in the dock on the south side. Nothing major on that. We had one actually as recently as Sunday night. We had a gentleman in his boat essentially run into one of the pilings at Marker 8, right over there by Miss Whetstone's place, over there across from the city marina. What happened was that person created a little bit of damage to the dock and the piling, but they created significant damage to their boat, or his boat, and that was one where the operator was under the influence, so he was exchanging information with Miss Whetstone, and then St. Augustine PD showed up, and he ran from them, but they caught him right away. So Officer Greenier from my crew got up there and conducted a boating accident investigation, and he was arrested for boating under the influence, and also arrested for boating under the influence creating damage, and then I think the city is charging him with resisting without violence, and also there were a few NAVRO violations. So that was probably the most eventful boating accident recently. Most of the rest of them have been minor ones where the 2 parties involved have been very amicable and exchanged information, and there haven't been any injuries or significant damage. And we'll see on that one. That boat, my understanding is that boat's got some at least moderate damage to it. Fisheries. Inshore, from what I've seen, the catches have been very average, nothing outstanding. Guana Dam, I don't know if you're aware, but up at Guana, they spent about 2 months of refurbishment to the dam up there on the south end of Guana Lake. They did a number of things. The wildlife management area biologists up there now have it situated so people can't creep into the spillway and throw cast nets. They can't, in other words, they can't fish unlawfully in areas where they could before because there's structure up there now, fencing or concrete, some sort of concrete structure, and it's going to help us when it comes to enforcement also up there. The officers that have been up there who have been on patrol said they're very good catches of croaker and spot, which are, they're in the same family as your redfish and your sea trout. And the small spot that sea trout love to feed on. So that's good because the nursery fish are there. The big predators will probably come in whenever we get a change in either, water temperature consistently, or we get some sort of maybe some nor'easter come through or something like that. This time of year, that's not likely, but if we get a bad storm, that seems to trigger the redfish run up there also on that. But no significant catches to talk about. Offshore, people are still violating the red snapper federal prohibition. 3 weeks ago, Officer Megan Thomas with the recruit that's been with us now, we're getting a new officer in into June. Right now, she's been on sort of like a hiatus from the academy where she's in the field riding with the officers on my squad already. So she's gotten a taste of going offshore and doing a few things. So Officer Thomas and that recruit officer, they came across a gentleman who had a red snapper and a parrotfish, which is typically a tropical, reef fish, off at 9 Mile Reef. In fact, I showed up out there with Officer Miller right when in the middle of the inspection. So the gentleman claimed he didn't know it was a red snapper, didn't know what a parrotfish was, but all you have to do is pull up your phone, it was right there. So she issued him a warning for the parrotfish, returned it alive, and returned the snapper. And, we did a state violation on that one for the one fish because it was under 20 inches. It's only 9.5 inches, and that's really a crime. That's a small fish. Then the following week, Officer Thomas, Officer Lawrence, and the recruit, they went out 30 miles to Intruder Reef, and yes, that's pretty far. I was surprised they went, but they said they had good weather. And they boarded, conducted an inspection on a gentleman who had 16 red snapper between 25 and 33 inches. So that's 16 over the limit. That's going to be a federal case. Typically, that's $250. It's a civil penalty of $250 per fish. So you're looking at probably $4,000 right there. So that one's been turned over to National Marine Fisheries Service. And what he told the officers on the boarding team was essentially, hey, I paid for the gas, I'm coming out here, I haven't seen you out here in a while, I'm taking what I can. So he spoke very clearly into our body cameras now, so that was nice, and I'm sure the federal magistrate, well, someone's going to see that, so we shall see. Point is, though, people are out there still violating, and that's just hoarding the resource, so that's why we have these regulations, unfortunately. People who police themselves, I wouldn't have a job, but I guess it's job security. So that's it for the Critter Cop report. Does anyone have any questions, comments for me? Yes.
Two questions, please. The first was, back in the fall, Friends of Summer Haven were looking to put up some signs along the beach. I know they've gotten no wake zones down there just recently.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. Josh, will you tell me about that? Down Summer Haven?
What's that?
The no wake zone, no speed zone down not Summer Haven, Matanzas.
Okay.
Are you talking about going in Matanzas or in Summer Haven
I'm not
itself?
sure. I think, I'm going, well, this is what some constituents from the neighborhood said, that they had found out that, and I'd seen that they got some signs. I guess it's no wake, somewhere in the Summer Haven area. But we had asked, it has nothing to do with no wake. The
Okay.
Friends had asked previously associated with this project if we could get permission to put up these, have you ever seen the signs? They're like metal, they're painted, they look nice, describing the project, what your tax dollars were for. They wanted to put one up on one side and then the other by the berm. We got prices and everything. Mike Turnback said he had to get permission from the state. So I haven't heard back from that since the fall, and I was wondering, can you give us permission to put up those signs?
You mean basically take two posts, put them in the shoreline, somewhere in the shoreline, and put it up?
Right.
It depends where you're going to put them, because part of the Summer Haven dredging, there's a restoration for the dunes where we have an offset area for shorebirds, plus they've planted sea oats there.
Right.
That's probably going to need FWC approval there.
Okay.
The rest of the beach, or if you put in other areas, may only depend on the county. So that would depend on where you're going to put them. So I'm not saying that something like that's not doable.
Where do we start? Where's the beginning point for that? Do we fill out an application or have someone decide on the location first?
Well, to tell you the
Easier.
truth, it may not be us. It may be through DEP, now that I think about it. DEP would probably be, DEP would, if, depending on where you're gonna put them, if you're gonna put them near where some of that, replacement is on the, eastern side of Summer Haven, where some of the dredge went to build up
Right.
the beach again, where, you've got, the sea oats, the vegetation being planted, and we also have some, shorebird nesting there, inadvertent. That would probably go through DEP, because they're in charge of the beaches, and they would probably consult with us also in terms of our shoreline bird people. I don't foresee that being a problem, because, once it's up, it's up. I mean, what size sign are you talking
Yeah,
about?
an 8x4, the real thin aluminum that doesn't rust, it's
Yeah.
painted.
That would be go through DEP first.
Okay.
Go through DEP first, and they would be the ones to contact, because the beaches, the state part of the beaches is basically that's their jurisdiction.
Okay.
And then they may say, well, that's fine with us to go through the county or whatever. And if you're gonna put them up by that area, our shorebird people may just have a look at it. I do not foresee it being an issue. I'm very y'all probably know this, I'm very supportive of what we're trying to do here locally, and I do speak to our shorebird people if they have any consternation about what's going on, and try to let them know there has to be a balance or a compromise, or should be, not has to be. And
We'll call DEP first and see
Yes,
what they, okay.
so.
And one last question was, this was regarding the inlet markers. And, you know, I guess I've been around about 22 years, and I believe just about every winter, you know, we get a little something, and they do this, they get to moving on us, or go to the beach or whatever. And I think that the boat that the Coast Guard has that comes to fix it is hauled out every winter, because every winter we're always told during the same months, well, it's hauled out, it's doing its, whatever they, you know, it makes sense to haul a boat out in the winter and do the repair, but it leaves us without anything. And I know this sounds sophomore, but here's my question. Could we not put a helix screw tether to those things, and when they get to where they feel like they gotta go and walk about, they'll get up and go, but they'll just go so far?
a helix, well, I'm
I
not,
mean, something like a
what you
mooring.
mean by helix?
A helix screw, like our mooring balls are
Okay.
attached to at the bottom, a 50-foot tether, springy would be nice, simply attached to that anchor, whatever holds that.
What's at the bottom is a very huge piece of, it's called a darmor. It looks like an inverted pyramid.
Right, and it just sits in the sand.
And then your ground tackle comes down from that up to the
Right.
buoy. Those things are extremely heavy.
And yet they still get up and go.
Well, I think you've heard my, I think you've heard my rant here before.
Yeah.
I think you've been on Commissioner Flowers long enough where I don't know if it happened right before I was hurt or after I was hurt, I was here one day. Our inlet is, in the scheme of what
Right.
Sector Jacksel has to deal with, because we're not designated a commercial port.
Right.
Our inlet is way down on the totem
Right.
pole. And unfortunately, it's, with what's happened with the pandemic and many military units, except for Mr. Piggott's army, many of the military units standing down, we're kind of in a bad place, right? Not kind of, we are.
Couldn't do anything now, even
Right.
if we, okay.
When I was an active reservist up until 4 years ago, I had more of a connection up there, because I was up there 2 or 3 times a month in addition to my drill weekend. I'm not up there anymore. Many people that I knew have changed. They've moved on, they've rotated out or retired. So I don't have the same connections up there anymore. It's just unfortunate that we're hit with the pandemic and the fact that we're a low priority.
Right.
And if we want to become a big priority and put our big boy pants on and ask for a federal project to do an inlet
Go ahead.
with jetties, which is going to take over a decade and a ton
Yeah.
of political influence, maybe some people of St. Johns County might want to vote on that one at some point in time.
But just helping ourselves by, you know, possibly engineering an apparatus that would simply keep them from floating away.
You cannot interfere with what the Coast Guard's doing. You'd have to have Coast Guard approval to do all that, and they'd
Right.
have to do it because of the liability involved and because of the engineering on their end. We can keep talking to them, and I'll do my best. Like I said, I've got to run up there later this week and speak to them at least at Small Boat Station. Maybe I can find out when the 2 ATOM boats are going to be back. Well, or when one can get down here again. All right, are there any other questions or comments? All All right, thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Okay. All right, Secretary Treasurer's report. Or, I'm sorry, government representative. Anybody else from the government? Josh?
I was gonna take care of mine all at the same time, but if
Okay.
you want me to do it now, I can.
Well, you're on the agenda anyway.
Yeah, just do it at the same time then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, so nobody else from the government right now?
Did you guys vote on the city for the derelict boat and the overtime to?
Yes.
Okay, so that's
Yep.
been, okay.
Yep.
As of April 30th, we've spent $500 on the city police law enforcement. The sheriff's department overtime, we've spent $7,326 to date. Derelict boats, of the $25,000 budgeted, we've spent $8,300. Regatta of Lights, which has been around since November, so that was $62.77. In the Florida State Board of Administration Fund Day, we have $23,083. In the operating account, we have $307,311. And in the money market, we have $2,283,167. I transferred $175,000 out of the operating account into the money market account, so we can get some interest, even though interest pretty much has taken a major hit. I mean, the only interest we got was $179 in the money market account, and last month or the month before, it was like $300. So they're obviously, because of everything that's been going on, it's been going down. But I did move it to get something.
Sure.
So the money's there. It's just, I just moved it out of our operating fund just to get some interest. So that leaves us with a available amount of $2,613,561. We have budgeted taxes of $570,000 for this fiscal year, which will be over in September 30th. And we've received to date $546,000. So we're expecting approximately $24,004 to meet our budget. We'll see how that goes.
Okay. Any questions with regard to the budget or the financial? Nope. Okay. All right, approval of the minutes, February 18th, 2020. Any corrections or anything?
I can't vote on that, I was not at the,
I'll move to approve.
Okay. A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Engineering report.
All right. I'm obviously not Mike Trudnick. Mike has elected to move on to another firm, so I will be taking his place. I'm Ken Craig. I'm Vice President of Taylor Engineering. Used to be in this seat before Mike, so I'm very familiar with what the Port District's been doing, so hopefully I can continue on with providing service, the engineering service to the district. We've got three primary items to discuss today. First of all, we received a report that there was marker number 3 in Salt Run was down earlier this month. Coordinating through Elise and Jim and Chair Benjamin, we got a proposal from Bacon Marine Construction, and they took care of it as of last Thursday. It's been reinstalled. Everything is back to prior conditions. Second thing was, my understanding is that the board asked Mr. Trudnick to check into what it would take to get lighting established out at the Volano Beach, or Volano boat ramp, the jetty that's out there. And so the concept would be to drive a pile on either end of the jetty, so the east and the west end of the jetties, and light those with a white light. Coordinating with a couple of different contractors, the rough estimate would be somewhere in the $15,000 to $20,000 range, might be, and actually come in a little bit below that, but just to be on the safe side, we'd say 15 to 20,000. So if we, it's up to the board if you want us to
Which
continue
boat
to
ramp
pursue.
is that, sir?
I'm sorry?
Which boat ramp are you talking about?
At the Volano Boat Ramp,
Guano.
By the jetties.
You talking about the Guana? When you say jetties,
there's a rock structure. I call it a jetty,
are you
but
talking about up at the Guana Dam where you?
Volano.
Volano, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. But so you seen a boat ramp over there at the Volano Bridge? And you're
Yes.
talking about that jetty where there's nothing out there and you can run into?
That's exactly right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we're about.
I thought you said guano, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So if you want us to continue to pursue that, we can get a formal quote from contractors and move forward that way, or if you want to think about it, whatever you want to, however the board.
Discussion about it, anybody?
It sounds like a great idea. It's a dangerous spot not to have a light. And there'd be one at the end and the beginning of the jetty?
Yes, ma'am, that's the idea.
That's a spectacular idea to me.
I think we should pursue it.
I think so, yeah. Well, look into it, yeah. I think we want to pursue that and get a firm price on it, and we'll consider that.
We'll do that and
Okay.
bring that to the next meeting.
I think it's a good thing.
The last item that I have is the contract for Taylor Engineering. I understand the board approved us or reappointed us, or engineering. I've gone back and forth with Mr. Bedsole a couple of times, and I think we've come to an agreement here on the language in the contract.
Yeah, the contract is for engineering services for 2 years, isn't it 2 years?
I think it's 3 years with 2 option years, basically.
I'd like to make a comment on that if it's okay, and I brought it with me. On page 7 of our charter, no contract can be any longer than the 2 years from the time you're elected by the board that you serve. It immediately terminates upon the next election cycle. It doesn't, I mean, you can put 3 years on the contract if you want, but these contracts serve the board, and the board is reelected every 2 years. And I brought a copy of this so you could get it to everybody.
2 years is fine.
Okay, I brought a copy so that we could get that to everybody, okay?
Okay, so
And
just-
the only change that I wanted made in the contract was it had a venue for dispute resolution in Duval County, and I wanted it to be in St. Johns County.
Would it still be mandatory binding arbitration though, or would we just be in a court here?
It does specify arbitration.
Right.
Yes.
Is there an arbitrator in St. Johns County?
Oh, there are arbitrators all over the place.
So our contract would force us to arbitrate as opposed to go to a court of law if something happened, wasn't done
Well,
correctly?
arbitration is partly court and partly, the trial takes place in front of arbitrators. It's binding arbitration. And
I would rather not have arbitration in a contract if we don't have to.
well, it's up to you guys.
Well, I'm pretty sure before it would ever go to court, you'd have to go to mediation or some form of
Yeah, we have to go
arbitration
to
anyway.
mediation anyway.
That has to be ordered by the judge.
No, it's a contract, it's contracted for.
Yeah.
Now, they want to keep the courtroom clear, so you would have to go to mediation before you ever went to court.
Anything, see, I'm just, this is just my personal view, but anything that reduces the ability of the taxpayer to be protected and forcing us into arbitration would do that to some extent. I would be against that. Just me.
I generally agree with that as well. I prefer to remove that clause. One other thing that I'm a little concerned by is clause number 31, which only gives us 2 days to provide notice of breach, and we would have to be, it's not 2 days after we became aware of a material breach of the contract, it is simply 2 days after the contract is breached. We meet once a month, and these projects that we work on, there's no way we would ever catch anything, any breach in time to actually, lodge that complaint. So that, I think, needs to be changed. We need to either change it to a standard of, actual or constructive knowledge, or it needs to be a much longer notice time in order to be workable for this board.
Where is that exactly?
I'm on,
Second line.
31, notice of claims, yeah, second line, third line there, right? Such alleged breach of contract within 2 business days of the occurrence of any such act or omission.
And you want 30 days there?
Oh, well, I'm open to suggestions, but it either needs to be 30 days or it needs to be within, a week of our actually becoming aware of such breach, not just within 2 days of the breach occurring, because we would never, ever be in a position to catch something like that.
If we could do it 30 days after the last meeting, whatever time the meeting occurs, that we're aware of it, because, I mean, that's how we'd become aware as a board.
Right, exactly.
30 days
Sometimes, I
after
mean,
that.
sometimes if we're lucky, that thing where he said about, certain amount of times after we become aware of it would really protect the taxpayer to the fullest.
I think that's right. I just want to point out that it says, in the event an act or omission occurs which client believes constitutes a breach of this contract. And I think what it's looking at is when you finally reach a decision that there's been a breach of the contract, you have to notify them within a couple of days. Ordinarily, that would take place in a meeting or at some kind of litigation meeting.
Sure, so then that clause after, within 2 business days, needs to change from 2 business days of the occurrence of any such act or omission to within 2 business days of our becoming aware of such act.
When you conclude that there's a,
Right.
that's the way I read it.
Okay.
And but arbitration is something that's, it's certainly a common thing, especially in the construction industry. It does limit your ability to go to court without, all the people do it all the time, they file a lawsuit anyway, it just gets stayed during arbitration. And in order to arbitrate, you have to file a lawsuit anyhow. It's just not heard in front of a judge, it's heard in front of a panel of arbitrators.
I don't have any problem with arbitration.
I don't need them.
And arbitrators are usually people who are in the industry, like construction arbitrators in a case like this, or rather than, the contract also waives jury trial, so there's no presentation in front of a jury. And so it would be in front of a judge, and judges, some of them are pretty good with this kind of stuff. Some of them don't really know much about it.
When you appeal arbitration in Florida, does it go straight to a trial court, or is it out to a trial court, or does it go straight up to the appellate courts?
From an arbitration? Mm-hmm. Well, the arbitration gets confirmed by a circuit court.
Okay.
And then it would be appealed from there.
Okay.
So in some ways, it does limit your access to court, but it always is like 50% in court anyway. And I think the idea of arbitration in a contract is to stay out of court, so that arbitration, you don't really save a lot of money with arbitration because that's an expensive process too, but you have more control over the time of everything. A lawsuit can, right now is a good example, everything's been frozen for months. Sometimes other things happen, like when the economy crashed and there were suddenly 5,000 or 10,000 foreclosures. Everything stopped except foreclosures. So you're subject to things like that.
Are documents in arbitration and arbitration decisions, are they a matter of public record, the way a standard court case would be?
Well, I think our documents would be a matter of public record.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just even if you didn't do arbitration, you would be forced to go to mediation. And you may be going in front of the same people.
Practically every contract has mediation in it because, if people talk, sometimes it's easier to resolve a situation than just following laws.
I'm okay with that.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm satisfied, as long as that notice of claims gets changed.
All right, do we need to vote on that?
Vote on it.
I think it would be good to vote on the form of the contract that you want. And you're saying that the wording of the contract is okay on the notice?
I would say that within 2 business days of us, learning of such occurrence, as it's written now, I think the most natural construction is to assume that we would be on the hook. We have 48 hours after the occurrence itself, after the omission occurred, to lodge a complaint against Taylor.
Well, it says when you believe there's been a breach of the contract. It doesn't say when you find out about it.
Or when the breach occurred.
Yeah,
When
when
it actually occurred, it's when you,
Right, but then the second clause, client shall give Taylor written notice of such alleged breach of contract within 2 business days of the occurrence of any such act or omission.
And
Not
why do
when they
we-
become aware of it, or not when they believe it to happen, but within 2 days of the occurrence happening.
Well, let's strike that out and put,
What if we put something in there that after the board was officially made a decision that there was a problem, then we had 48 hours after that. So it would be, we would have a collective decision at a meeting and then we have 2 days to actually,
Well, my question would be this, sir. If
That makes
there's been
sense,
a
too.
breach of contract in any way, why would the taxpayers be interested in limiting the amount of time they have to discuss it or bring it to light?
There's got to be some reasonable limitation,
Well, there
because
can
we
be a
can't, I mean, if we
you
can
can put
find a
reasonable
breach
then.
and then, you know,
But 2 days, I mean,
6
you
months
can-
later, we can't come back.
and leave us in a lot of trouble. And the reason I say that is because the way the Summer Haven contract was handled, there are a lot of places in there where it's been way more than 2 days or this or that. You could even put 6 months. I just don't know if there's a breach of a contract, why we have to be limited, other than the 2 years of the contract. I could see it having to come up in that, but if someone's done something a year earlier, it leaves the taxpayer without any.
Let me do this.
Recourse.
I'd rather take the time to rework this with Mr. Craig and bring it back to you next time.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's pretty
Because they're
reasonable,
going
yeah.
to stop
We,
service.
no problem whatsoever. We'll be happy to discuss it.
Mr. Craig, one other question about the beacon that they did the marker replacement. Can you tell us how much they charged for that?
For the marker number 3 replacement?
Was that the salt, we were just
Yes,
talking
yeah.
about it? Yeah.
The total was $9,500.
Woo, Lord have mercy.
It was not cheap, but we did need to get them out there quickly.
Well, we started a year ago, I think, at about 3 or 4. Then we were all losing our mind at 5, then it was 7, and $9,500 to put a marker in, and it was beacon too. They've almost doubled the price, just in a year.
was that Bacon? The same
Pardon?
one, was it
Yeah.
the same one that did the first one?
I'm not sure if the history with these folks, but,
Wasn't it the same one that got knocked down again?
Number 3, it was
That was a
number
different
3,
one.
yeah.
I know they were one that did, one we had to replace last year, and we were all blown away by how much the price had doubled, and now it's gone up again.
I think, to be honest with you, I think it was, caught my eye too. I think it would behoove the board to have us contact several local marine contractors and maybe get a standard contract that they will go out and honor for replacing
Well, that amount of money needed to be approved by the board, so I'm not sure how that
Well,
even worked, and now we're out the money.
See, and I
in
agree.
emergency
Yeah.
conditions.
I
there's-
understand you approved it, but you have a limit on what you can
Yes,
improve.
but I went over the limit because it was an emergency.
Yeah, to your
Yeah.
point,
It's hard that, last year it took us 3 months to get them replaced, so calling it an emergency at $9,500, I'm gonna let it go, but I'm saying they're ripping us off, especially for the same marker. You need a swimming pool payment, all you gotta do is take your big boat and bump the marker. It's just gonna get knocked, if we're paying 10 grand to put it up every time, somebody's gonna find a way to pull it down.
Yeah, I think we should, put something out to bid that they'd be on standby. I know right now the marine contractors, you can call almost any of them, say, yeah, call me in a year.
Yeah.
But if we can come in to enter some agreement with a group and maybe set some pricing on our own, say, are you willing to do it for this and put it out, we might be able to do
We'll definitely
that.
look into it, and I'll come back with some
I
additional
agree with
information
you,
for
Chris.
that.
We tried that, I think, the last couple of times, and there was nobody local that would even touch anything for, as you said, maybe not a year, but it was a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
I can even reach out to a couple of the contractors that I work with and see if they'd be willing to
You might have to.
enter some agreement that we'll pay them X and they'll do it within
Sure.
10 days
Yeah.
or something,
Yep.
All right.
That's all I have.
Okay, all right. Okay, new business. Fire Department, Chris Bassetti and Jim Piggott.
Jim Piggott, City of St. Augustine. I failed to mention one other thing during the first time I was up here, and our dredging is completed. So we'll be getting an invoice to you guys shortly. They just finished up the calculations and everything with Taylor yesterday, so we'll be closing that out. It went pretty well. This time waiting 3 grant cycles instead of 2. We thought we got more material out than we would have if we did 2.5 cycles, if you will. So I thought that worked out well. Commissioners, Jim Piggott, we have a funding request for you. If you remember, about 2 years ago, you were gracious enough to give the city of St. Augustine $60,000 towards a new fireboat, which we had purchased. The boat itself was around $180,000, something in that ballpark. Since then, we have spent $18,000 of city funds updating the communications on that boat, and we're almost to where we need to be, and that's what this funding request is for. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris Bassetti, who will fill you in on the rest.
Thank you. Chris Bassetti, Operations Chief, St. Augustine Fire Department. As Mr. Piggott said, we were reaching out to you for funding to complete our project for updating our communications equipment and electronics. You see it has the Ray Marine and FLIR logo on that packet that I handed out to you guys. Ms. Elise said to keep it short, and I was told to keep it at least 25% of what Zook was going to do, so I'll do my best on it. So all it has is some pictures of the layout, so as we go through it, I'll point to some of that. The Coast Guard has switched their platform, and Ray Marine and FLIR is what they're going to. This is the same product you guys funded for Josh, was that 2 years ago, for the Sheriff's Office? So we're just seeking the same thing. We've tried to do it through budget and stuff, and it's just kind of fall through. We're trying to wrap up the project, so what this will allow us to do is work hand in hand, better communications with our local partners like Josh, the Sheriff's Office, also the Coast Guard. So right now, if the Coast Guard calls and they have an issue, or if someone calls 911, it goes to the dispatch, and then it gets shuffled through a few hands. A lot of times coordinates and stuff get mixed up, or they forgot a decimal, which is, as you guys know, is kind of a big deal. So what this will allow it to do is Coast Guard or other agencies to directly lay over a search pattern or coordinates directly to us, so that just 3 weeks ago, the initial coordinates they sent us were in Palaca, so it wasn't really conducive to our search. So that happens quite often, so it'll allow us to get the information in real time, sent straight to it. If you see on the second page where it says search patterns through the equipment that you guys funded with the Sheriff's Office, the second one from the bottom says Underwood Visual, so that was his search pattern for the missing firefighters that were off the coast last year, Justin and Brian. So he's able to do the search, Coast Guard can send it, you can do the search, and then you can upload it, and it sends it straight to them so they can see what's been searched, who did it. That way they can shift the patterns and continue coverage. So it will give us some of that capabilities. Also, right now, we don't have any capabilities for imaging at night in the fog and heavy rain and stuff like that. So it would also provide the FLIR imaging, same setup again, would be on the same page with the Sheriff's Office. I noticed that as a big deal. About 6 or 8 weeks ago, we had someone on the North Shoal when we got the 3 kids and the 2 adults off of the sailboat. For that call, I was actually on Josh's boat, and our guys couldn't see the waves coming at all, and the helicopter got there where they were able to light it up with the searchlight eventually, but from Josh's, we could see it crystal clear, all the waves when they were breaking, when they were coming, the approximate distance, so it gave a huge advantage, so that was what kind of spurred it along to reapproach this. So our ask would be up to $30,000. We have to do a closed bid through General Services, and so the ask would be up to $30,000 to finish off that project. Any questions?
I'll make a motion that we pass that.
We have to approve that before you can do the bid?
Yes, sir. So we would ask up to 30, and anything after that, obviously wouldn't take, of course. So, but doing the closed bid, I think we can maybe get a better pricing. We'll send it through GSA, but it would be a maximum of 30.
All right, I'll second that motion to approve.
Discussion, anybody?
Any other questions?
I have a question. That, you're saying now that when the Coast Guard will send you a search pattern, it goes straight to your electronics?
Yes.
It's not being transmitted from second party?
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Well, it can go through the AIS from the second. Search pattern will not, but through the AIS, we could get some of their positioning and stuff as well.
Okay.
Are the night vision goggles included in that
This is not
Oh,
for the
different
goggles,
thing.
this is for the,
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Oh, that's you.
that's really fancy.
I got you.
We're firemen, we can't operate that.
Okay, let's vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, passed.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Sydney?
Sydney Lindblad, Natural Resources Program Manager with St. Johns County Parks and Recreation. So this request is for part of the St. Johns County Find application for this grant cycle. It is a request for the fiscal year 2021 budget. St. Johns County applied for a grant for the Volano dredge for that navigational channel. At the time that we submitted our grant, we thought it was a 75-25 match. So the project was estimated to be about $240,000. So that would be 180 coming from Find and 60 from St. Johns County. However, at the time of submittal, when we then were told that it was a 50-50 match because the dredge connects to a launching facility. So we're here today to ask to see if you guys would like to be a partner in the funding to keep the project at the same funding amount. So that would be 60 from Port, 60 from St. Johns County, and then it would lower the Find match to 120. And Carl has some numbers as well.
What exact project, where are we talking about here?
So the Volano landing, the boat ramp, that
Right.
navigational channel.
Oh,
to
dredging,
dredge that
where
out.
we're talking about the lighting, all that, yeah.
No, just the dredge. I think Carl has some other strategies too, to make the project greater. If, he said if you match any dollar beyond 60,000, it would then be matched by Find, because our grant went in for 180. So they will match up to 180. St. Johns County is at 60, so.
It's a 2021 grant, right?
Correct, yes,
Okay,
so
yeah.
next budget.
Yeah.
I think, Carl, you want, I just gave the background a little bit, I think. You know, that you have some strategies for the amount, stuff out of the way.
What's the total cost of that dredging project?
We're estimating it's at 240, and that's based off the, we did it about 3 years ago, and that was that price, so.
Have they ever thought about maybe doing some additional jetting to keep it from, you know what, it's so bad, so fast?
Right, yeah, and Carl's been pushing for that as well, and I think that's going to be in our next grant.
Okay, so that's all.
Year
okay.
to add a whole nother jetty, so it'll help with, you know,
Okay.
not just dredging and then it filling back in.
Cindy, is this strictly a dredging project, or is there some other things going on?
No, just dredging.
Just dredging.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Carl Blow, Florida Inland Navigation District. I'm here to assist the county just with some additional information. What I handed out to you with the Florida Inland Navigation District. What I handed out to you is our latest kind of cheat sheet on the where we stand with grants that have been submitted for this next grant cycle. What you're looking at, of course, is the 12 counties, and the column you want to kind of focus on is the assistance requested, and then and if you look at St. Johns County, which is the fourth down, we have total $780,000 of grants that have been submitted. Then that's basically 3 grants. One of them is from the city for additional salt run dredging, and as Mr. Pickett said, they tend to sort of collect those, assuming they get approved, they collect 3 or 4 of those grants before they actually do a job, because of that way they get more efficiency out of the funding. And then the other 2 is from St. Johns County. One of them is for a new boat ramp on the west side of the intercoastal up at Palm Valley, which is of course outside your district, but it's a very important project because of the growth up there. And then the third one is this Volano Basin dredging. And I guess where we are is, as you guys may remember, salt run dredging is kind of somewhat of a unique project. It's one of the few that Fine will fund with 75% of the total cost and only a 25% local match. And the reason for that is it's a channel that serves multiple public activities. Got a mooring field there, and you got a boat ramp, you got a conch marina, you just got a lot going on. And so it qualifies for a 75% grant. The same thing would be true for the San Sebastian River. Unfortunately, the Volano boat ramp, that qualifies for a 50-50 match, just like the Palm Valley West. And I want to apologize for my scratch on here, but I just made some notes real quick. Anyway, what happened here, the county, and correct me if I misstate something, the county came in, well, first off, on the Palm Valley West, the county has secured their local match of 50%, which is the $450,000. And by the way, I think all three of these projects would score high when we get to that point and score them. The Volano boat ramp dredging project, the county has $60,000 available for a local match. And basically what happened was there was a miscommunication. The county thought that that would qualify as a 75-25% project, like say the salt run dredging. So, but unfortunately under our rule, it only qualifies as a 50-50. So where it stands is they have an application in for $180,000 of assistance from fine, but they only have $60,000 available as their local match. So what would happen is if they don't find any additional funding other than the $60,000, we're only going to fund a maximum of $60,000. So I think what Sydney's here to talk to you about is if you guys as a board would be interested in partnering with the county to increase that $60,000, because basically, and this is assuming it's going to score high, which I think it will, but that for every dollar that you increase that $60,000, that gets you $1 from the Florida Inland Navigation District. So over here on the far, or down here on the last thing, I put Volano boat ramp, kind of worst case, and I have $60,000 from St. Johns County, $60,000 from fine, total $120,000. And Mr. Piggott, what were you guys paying to dredge salt run per cubic yard? Okay, well, they were paying $45 a cubic yard, so I have $35 a cubic yard, which is, we can't get it for that anymore. But at $35 a cubic yard, you're only going to get about less than 3,500 cubic yards of material dredged out, which is not a lot of material. At 45, it would be even less. So if the counties could secure another $60,000, or excuse me, up to 180, then they obviously could get a lot more material. I use $35 a cubic yard, and that's about 6,800 cubic yards. So at 45, it's even less. So basically, you know, as we all know, and the FWC referred to this as during the total shutdown of the beach and everything else, what I noticed was just the fact that the boat ramps were the only thing open to the public. And it was amazing how everybody went to the boat ramp. I saw people dragging canoes that had probably been in their backyard for 10 years and never seen the water. They were dragging them down there, putting them in the water just so they could get out on the water. So I think, you know, boat ramps were you know, we've always known they were critical, but this latest shutdown due to the virus really demonstrates just how important they are. So, so anyway, that said, that I can tell you the three projects I think will score high when we review them in July. And if you guys want to participate with the county, I think it would be a great, and this is just my personal opinion, but as far as for the Port District, you know, you've got the Volano ramp. We all know how busy it is. And I can just envision a nice 4x8 project sign saying this dredging is funded by the St. Augustine Port Waterway and Beach District and by the Florida Inland Navigation District. And it just tells people that you are out there using their tax dollars to improve the public facilities. So anyway, that's my little pitch.
So Carl, help me get the math straight. In order to get 180, if the fine's going to put in 180,000 and it's a 50/50 project.
Up to 180, what's happened is we will only, in other words, we will only fund up to 50% of the total cost of a project. So the way it stands now is if the county can't find another, can't increase that $60,000 local match, what will happen is in July, say this project scores high enough to be funded.
Right.
We're only going to fund $60,000.
So are we talking $240,000 is the,
That would be the maximum.
to do the project?
To do the project,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, how much you want from us?
Did I get that right?
Well, because we requested 180 from.
Yeah,
That's
you
just the
requested
dredging,
180.
not-
See, they can go down, but they can't go above 180.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can get more money for the whole, so we can get more
Yeah.
money than 240 and have a bigger project.
So are you looking for the county and the port to come up with 50/50 to match, or you,
So the county has 60.
but they're not prepared to go up from there? So, I mean, the balance you're looking for from the port and waterway is what I'm,
Right, right.
You
But if
almost,
there's a partnership, I can go back to the county and ask for more money, but at this time, they've only committed 60.
Okay, so they'll give 60 and you want 60 from us. Is that correct?
Or whatever you feel comfortable.
well, the 60 from us is not going to make the 50/50 with the 180.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Right,
Right.
it would make it a 240 project with 120 coming from fined.
Well, I mean, if we did commit the 60 that the county's doing, and then see how fine scores, is that how we can do it?
I'm for that.
That dredging all along the jetties as well as the basin? I mean, exactly where are they dredging, the entirety, or?
Yeah, so it'll start at the basin. We'll get a pre-dredge survey to see
Right.
how much, cubic yards it'll take for the full.
But none of this
project, but-
includes some kind of preventative measure along that jetty to keep it from coming right back in the next hour, literally. Yeah, tell us, Carl.
Yeah, but I think long-term, and I've discussed this with the county, that we couldn't do it this grant cycle, but what we really need to do is go for what we call a phase one, which is a design permitting type of grant, and look at hardening the south side of the channels, because right now, at the Volano boat ramp, you've got the jetty on the north side, but there's nothing on the south side. And I think we're getting a lot of material coming in from the south side. So the idea would be to look at doing some sort of hardening over there, perhaps in what we've seen. Ken can probably talk about this. We've seen this in other areas up and down the East Coast where they might put in sheet piling, but the top of the sheet piling are just below the mean low water, and then you do some living shoreline, riprap type of thing. But the sheet piling keeps that sand from coming back in. But I think long-term, something needs to be done on the south side, because the north side's got the jetty, and that's working, but all the material's coming in from the south.
Has anybody looked into what it would cost to sheet pile that entrance there? To have that as part of the project, or,
Oh, this project?
yeah, is that possible?
No. Well, basically, this is already submitted as a dredging
Yeah,
project.
okay, I just
so-
was curious.
So it's filling in every 3 years, literally, we just, I'm sure it's worse, we may be dredging every 3 years, but it's probably gets bad in a year. So it sure be nice to fix it and dredge it at the same time, that's all.
Well, one thing that may benefit temporarily is when the Corps comes in to do their renourishment project for the Volano, South Ponte Vedra Beach area up to Serenata Beach. They're going to be pulling a lot of material out of the flood shoal, which is that big shoal in front of the Volano ramp. And it used to be up there, a couple of years ago, when you left Volano, left the ramp, you could pretty much go straight towards the inlet, and you don't want to do that
They're taking
now.
all that sand, which is
Yeah,
nice sand, so they're gonna, okay.
That's beach quality material.
Okay.
And that's where they're planning to get their material for Volano Beach.
Well, when we dredge the boat landing, what are we doing with that stuff? Does that have to be carted off, or is that going up on the beach too?
It doesn't go on the beach, it gets
What do we do with that?
hauled off somewhere.
It has to be removed?
Yeah, it's not beach quality.
Okay.
So what do you think, Barry, about we match the 60 and see what happens with
Yeah.
fine? I mean, would that,
I'm okay with that, yeah. You know, that's.
Is that gonna come out of our budget, our dredge budget line item?
Oh,
2021.
I'm trying to figure
For
out, is
next
this
year,
for
right?
this fiscal year?
It's for next.
No, it's next, yeah,
So then
2021.
you're budgeting this for next,
Right.
for the fiscal year coming up September?
Correct.
October 1st?
Yeah, 2021.
And that would be 60,000 for,
The dredging match for the Volano ramp.
but if they come back with the 180, then we would have to come up with the
But they'll
difference.
only,
What will happen is they've submitted an application for $180,000. It will be scored, and if it scores above the money, then that's great. But what will happen is, say you guys kick in an extra 60, they can say, hey, we don't need the whole grant amount. They can come in and ultimately say we need less. It's just that they can't go above.
Right.
what they've said.
But, I mean, 240 is barely going to do it, and you were talking about at $35 a cubic yard, right?
No, 240 is the best case. That's the best
But
case.
that was based on
Yeah.
35, and you said, Jim, that you just paid 40?
45.
45, I mean, that's a big difference.
Well, listen, we don't know where we're going to be. I mean, I can tell you, in my business, I can see this recession hitting like right now. So we may be back to $35
Yeah.
a yard. We may be down to $30 a year. There may be some hungry people by the time you put this
what I'm
out on the
thinking.
street.
Yeah.
Voting to put this on the next year's budget, and then we can go back to it again if necessary, is that
But we were going to commit to
Yeah.
the 60
committed
with
to
the
the
county.
budget for next year?
for the budget
Okay.
for the new
2021.
next fiscal year?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that the same for the fire department? Is that for this fiscal year or next fiscal year budget? For what you requested?
For the electronics,
For the
Chris.
electronics?
You want it now. Yeah, they want it now. Okay.
You want it now?
Well, Sydney,
So it'll be before September?
if we commit to the 60, would that put you guys in a pretty decent place to see what happens when fine comes through?
I think I'm misunderstanding, because I thought before July, I have to have a committed amount. And
In
then
order-
that's
Yeah.
only, that's gonna be matched, so
Yeah.
it's not that they can give me a full 180 if I don't have the match.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
What
that
do you-
would
is that what
trigger
you're
it.
looking for today, though, 60,000? Is that the figure you're looking for
Well, from
commitment?
what I can see, they're looking for 120.
Yeah.
But that's half of us and half of the city, right?
The count.
The county, okay, the county, yeah.
but
So
the county-
60 from us and 60 from the county. It gives you the 120. They've committed to the 60, right? So you just need another 60 from.
Yeah,
Right, so
yeah,
that
but
would only
that's-
qualify fine matching at 120.
Yeah, so then,
When-
if they give $180,000, you gotta have $180,000 ready to go
Yes.
before they commit.
Yes.
So
So
the
you're
county
sure-
and the
So you
Port
need
Waterway gotta come up
160.
with 120.
Another 60,000.
Be the full 180, 50/50 match.
So it would be
Correct.
90,000, not 60.
Yes.
Yeah.
60 would be like the minimum,
And then 90 from us and 90 from the county.
90 from the county.
And you think you can get that from the county?
I would have to ask.
I think 90 is a little high for us. I mean, I don't have a big problem with 60, but 90 is a little bit high for, for
Can
just that
we-
one project.
Can we split it up in budget years, this year and next year?
I don't know. Can you?
Well,
You would then have
our
to-
budget year, it's
Yeah.
already, everything's been budgeted, so
Oh, it
you're
has.
not,
Yeah.
you'd have to take it at, from someplace else.
Yeah.
Well, the other thought too is we do have a lot in reserve and the Volano Beach boat ramp. I mean, I'm just blown away by how many boats are in the water now. I was sitting on my lanai watching my granddaughter swim, and this was a couple of weekends ago, and I just took out a legal pad and I wrote down power boats, sailboats, and kayaks and paddle boards. And anything that went by my house, I marked it down, and in 1 hour, 175 power boats and like 85 jet skis and 15 sailboats in 1 hour. I mean, it was just, it's crazy.
The highway out there.
So, well,
Well, should we
I mean, I'd like
just,
to put ourselves in a position that if the 180 comes through, but, you know, that is
could
a
we
lot
do
of money
something
there.
like commit to the 60 that Barry's comfortable to today, and then you revisit us before the July cutoff and see, or is there just no other way to get the money in any other way? It's just gonna come down to us approving it.
Well, what if we do 60 and then we'll pitch it at over 30 if you can get something from the county?
It's still not, it's 90,000 that we're committing to.
Yeah, no matter which way you look at it,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
put it on the budget.
Yeah.
The only reason I mean, that boat landing is so integral, because we don't have a lot. I mean, it's already so bad if you're not up at 4 AM on a Saturday, you're not gonna get your boat in the water. And if it's dangerous already, thank God we're putting the lights up, but without it being dredged, it's almost unusable.
That is our biggest boat ramp by far. Yeah.
Well,
Bidding for that on the dredging contract account.
Go through
You know, if we had to dip into our
Construction
$2 million reserve and pull out the other amount if it comes to it, but I would commit to the 90, and if we're forced to dip into that reserve, I think that's kind of why it's there,
I'll
in
make
my
a
opinion.
Willing to do
I
that
make a
too.
motion, we do the $90,000.
Well, are we gonna just go straight up committing to 90, or are we gonna do like Sandy said, and we'll commit to 60, and if the county will come out with an additional 30, we will come up with an
Yeah,
additional 30
because that would
as
make it
well.
to 180.
Yeah.
County would have to come up with that money anyway, right?
Not a full
You're
30.
gonna, the county's gonna have to come with another 30.
To get
and
that
we do the
additional 30
90,
from us.
And now you're at 180.
But, and Carl, in your position as a fine
30,
person,
so,
what's
but
the
we only
best
need
thing?
30, so it would be
Yeah,
the
you
split, so
can't-
50
do you
from the
recommend?
county and 15 additional
No,
from
we-
60.
Yeah,
We would
you
do
know,
90.
And you've been on this board, so you know.
And then you've got 60 from the county, you need another 30 from them, right? Then we're at 180.
If we did
Then
90
if the
for
whole
you
money
today.
comes through.
You could go back to the county and say they're gonna do 90, and you think you could work with that from the county?
At all, I can ask.
You have till July, and then you could
At
come
minimum, we're
back.
at 60.
Okay.
60 match.
Okay. But you do have till July, right? Because again, it's a very
On a boat ramp,
important
right?
access
Biggest
point.
boat ramp, yeah.
And the biggest one as far as I know.
Not 60,
What's that?
90.
So if it didn't, you would still have time to
What do you
come
want?
back to the port for the July meeting.
Yeah, so I would come back here by June.
Yeah, no, okay.
Well, don't they have to demonstrate that they have 90,000 available? Is there a commitment for 90,000?
Yes.
Yes.
So. I
They've
guess-
committed the 60 grand from that surplus fund that the county had found, so we do have that.
Tell them they better pony up, we just went 90.
Yeah, I think Sydney needs a resolution at a minimum.
I come back on, and I think we found one, I think it's 60 committed now.
No, we're gonna do the 90.
90.
Yeah.
And it's your job. Go to the county and get the other 30.
Right.
Now, Carl, when the fine comes through and fine goes, no, we're not giving you 180, it's 140, then we can just take it back.
Down, yeah.
And then we back it out.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is put you in position that if the 180 comes through, you got the match.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay?
okay.
And you gotta go to the county and sweet talk them for 30.
We need a written resolution for that.
I think it would be helpful, yes.
Yes.
I make a motion that we do the 90 then now.
We made it.
You did, okay, did we vote?
You're seconded.
Okay, second it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Josh, you might ought to go home on this one.
What's that?
You might wanna go home and bring that up next time.
Mine's for 2021.
So is that one.
Hey, it's all good. Josh Underwood, Sergeant with the Sheriff's Office Marine Unit. I just combined mine, so I'll do earlier comments now. Just first quarter statistics since we haven't been here. We've had 190 vessel stops, 80 vessel inspections. We worked 3 boating crashes. We've had 6 maritime navigation obstructions in the waterway that we removed, either floating debris or channel markers down that we've pulled to the side. You talked about the ATONs for the inlet. Latest and greatest update from the officer in charge at Jack's Beach. I spoke to her yesterday morning. The boat's still in dry dock.
Yeah.
She has no idea when this boat's gonna be repaired. We're still at number one, but she doesn't have the boat.
Oh, we are at number one.
We're still number
Okay.
one to be when it comes out,
Okay.
but she doesn't have the boat right now to get out there.
Yeah.
I've asked if we could move a boat from another station in the interim, and they told me due to the COVID,
Yeah, it's just not.
it's not possible. And I also asked if we could get bigger aids to navigation like the ones at Mayport,
Right.
and I was told since we don't have a commercial
Right.
inlet, it's not possible.
There's a little card somewhere, and they just read it every time.
I'm guessing so.
It's true, I know. Okay.
Another update I wanted to give you guys was the county and us teamed up together and worked on the wake zone project to expand the Fort Matanzas wake zone. The reason we did that was because of safety reasons with how busy it is now. That zone would expand from its current ending point just south of the ferry dock or just to the east side of the ferry dock, all the way to Granny's Hole entrance. So it would be that
There was
expansion.
1 million people down there last weekend.
Right,
Yeah.
and so the thing that we're looking at is all the jet skis that are whizzing through there, people trying to swim across, people on
Yeah.
paddleboards, kayaks. The board approved it after 2 readings. It now has to be submitted to FWC Boating and Waterways in Tallahassee, and it's up to them to approve it because it has to be a Florida administrative code.
Now, where do you go, what board has to approve the 2 readings there? What board is it?
The Board of County Commissioners for the
County Commissioners, they have to be the first ones to approve a no-wake zone,
Correct.
Okay.
And then once it's approved, it has to go to
FW.
FWC, and then they have to do some type of hearing, and then it has to be made a Florida administrative code and legislation.
Okay.
We've also been contacted a couple times by the Summer Haven group to create a wake zone in the Summer Haven River. Reading the wake zone creation statute, right now it doesn't meet it because it specifically says in the statute, you cannot create a wake zone for shoreline protection. And that's what they are pushing on right now. And we don't have, another way to create a wake zone is by statistics of boating accidents, congested waterway. And we don't have those statistics
Right.
because it hasn't been open for a
Right.
long period of time.
So they're not getting no wake zone?
Not
in the-
currently, that we're
Okay.
still trying to find other ways that we can maybe fit it in there, but right now it doesn't fit the statute to create it.
Because it's just so, the thing about that is at times it's so shallow, if you were going through, it would get you,
Right, and I found out the other day when we took up the small boat, the Pathfinder down there, you can't even, at low tide on the south end, it's not passable. Like you have to turn around and come back north.
wow.
So you can't even make it through at low tide to go to the bridge.
Oh.
You have to come back through and go back
County's
north.
about to dredge down there, aren't they? About to get started, or?
I'm not sure.
Okay. check.
And that's all I have on that part, if anybody has any question, or has any questions, no questions?
Well, Commissioner Flowers mentioned earlier about the signs that you were trying to get down there at the Summer Haven project.
Yeah, Roy from the Summer Haven Friends had,
Couldn't we lump all those in at the same time and just, they magically appear?
I'm not sure about the signs, that's
You
out
know,
of
there's
my,
sign police that are looking for,
not,
that's a good idea, lumping.
I know the county attorney already sent the wake zone request to FWC for Fort Matanzas, but I could ask her when they do the Summer Haven one if we can add that in.
yeah.
Should I come up?
Yes.
I think he's gonna try and stop me from mentioning what we should do next.
Steve Zukowski, Fish and Wildlife again. Because we've been through this years ago when I used to be an officer in the 90s and early 2000s, where you could actually take a boat from the Matanzas entrance all the way down to the entrance that came out by Marineland. If you're looking at implementing some sort of boating regulatory zone in Matanzas Inlet, the only place I can foresee maybe, is that what you're talking about?
No, this
No, we're
was
talking about
just,
Summer Haven.
right,
That new
south of
piece
the
they
little
just
bridge.
cleaned up the river.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
South of the little bridge.
Yes. If you're looking at Summer Haven River itself, your only 2 options that may be considered are a small zone on either side of the bridge, 250 to 500 feet, because going underneath those bridges, there's obstruction there if you've got people on PWCs or John boats or things like that. And then once it gets dredged out properly, you're going, especially at mid-tide or high tide, you're going to be able to get like a 25-foot twin-engine boat in there
Yeah.
all the way around. I used to do it with our Makos way back when I was younger and not falling apart. But so those are your real options. Those two areas right there, it's limited. If you're looking at any place other than that river, it's going to be difficult for some of the things that Josh just mentioned here. The only thing, and I do not recommend this, is if it became a manatee zone. So if you're opening up a can of worms if you do that, though.
It's 500 feet on either side of the bridge, no wake? I mean, you got to idle through a bridge,
Our bridges here on the ICW, yes.
but not in there.
Oh, but not
Some of them
Some are
not.
slow speed.
Like Jacksonville, there's a lot that's not.
Yeah. Well, what I can foresee because of the short distance there is 250, maybe on each side of the US 1 bridge, excuse me, the A1A bridge that passes on the north part of the river and then the south part of Summerhaven River. That's probably doable, and you justify it as a matter of the fact that because of the bridges there, that's going to be an obstruction of navigation to operate on planing speed. And so it's to be a boating safety zone, just like our zones here on the ICW on the river. I'm sure the intercoastal waterway would be on that. So that's something that, because that's not the ICW technically, that would probably go filter through the county up to our boating waterways people also.
Well, I mean, if a sign just appeared, would you guys take it down?
The sign just appeared. Some citizen that knows the regulations would call our boating and waterways and say, and we had to go tell people to take it down, otherwise there's civil penalties for having that sign up there. That's what we used to have up at Palm Valley all the time. Palm Valley, with all this unauthorized signs up there,
Oh, they put them on their docks.
yeah, that might have just been like the Las Vegas Strip or something like that with all the stuff, and we had to tell all those people, take them down or else,
Yeah.
the big brothers, bureaucratic.
I'm just thinking that Summerhaven River, people would just think, I mean, why would you be speeding in there if there's, anyway. I'm not saying anything.
I can tell you, we used to have a lot of PWC incidents back in the early 2000s and 90s before it filled in, particularly PWCs operating after dark, PWC operators without life jackets on, PWC operators under the influence of intoxicants, as Judge Tinlin would say. So that was a good place to go. We would get a good chunk of boating safety activity in there, not so much resource in terms of fisheries. And also back in those days, we had people who were commercial clammers in there, and they had beds there. Those things are long gone, have been filled in. So I'm sure Miss Linda, she's not here today.
In the Summerhaven River, they had a commercial clam
Used to?
operation?
Yes.
Oh.
Used to. And like I said, Linda could tell you, what's her last name? I'm trying to remember.
Jen.
Thank you.
Jen.
Yeah, she could tell you all about that too. All about that. So if you're looking at a zone, that's probably your best avenue to approach it. Get limited zones on both underneath those two A1A bridges.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for me on that part? No? The next part of the presentation is for budget requests for next fiscal year. It's broken into two parts. First part is the interlocal agreement for overtime again, and then the second part is an equipment funding with the match of in-kind services. So I'll hit the first part first. The first part would be the interlocal agreement to continue our overtime annual of $25,000.
I think it was 20.
What's that?
It was 20.
Yeah, it was 20. I was asking for 25 for this year.
Well, you still got 20 that we committed, correct?
Not summer yet.
If we don't use it, it goes back into the budget.
I try to make the guys use the majority of the overtime in the
the summer.
summertime where you got, now obviously with COVID this time it's changed. It's almost like summer all the time.
That might be where everybody's at, it's on the river though.
Oh, it is.
It's the only place they can go.
But I do try to hold it where they're not using it until the summer months, the majority of it.
So do you want us to do one at a time, or do you want?
Interlocal agreement except for the change if you guys approve it for $25,000. And the year would start at October 1st of 2020 and end at September 30th of 2021.
That's For how much, 20,000?
He wants 25.
25.
And on the,
Well, and if you don't use the 20, we'll just knock it off the,
correct.
You can't carry. It
It just goes back into the-
We'll go back into
Get off what we were
general
gonna
We
give
don't
him.
use it.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, if there's 5,000 at the end of this year,
well, no, but you can't move it forward. So if you don't use it, you lose it. That's basically how it works, because your budget has to balance. You have to have a balanced
We
budget.
don't lose it, they lose it.
They lose it.
Right, it goes back to general fund,
It
right?
goes back to the general funds, yes,
okay, but then,
absolutely.
and then we use that to
Yeah,
fund the next year.
yeah, to go, whatever.
I don't see
I
a
make a
problem with
motion, we
that.
approve that.
I'll second that.
Like,
Let's hear what else he's got to say first. He's got-
thought we were
that's
doing-
for the
I'm sorry, I thought
interlocal. I broke it into two parts.
Yeah,
I did the grant
he wants to knock them
application.
out one at a time.
I did the grant application for everything together, but I did it into two
But
parts.
you're the chairman, you tell them how to do it.
Yeah, if you want me to change it, let me know.
Let me hear the other one.
So the other one is for equipment and it's for, and like I said, we can break this up too. If you don't want to do the whole amount, that's totally fine with me. The other one is a request for two single units of the FLIR Ocean Scout thermal handheld unit to use on the boat. Those are from GSA pricing from West Marine. Two of those together is $3,076.
Is that the night vision goggles?
The night vision goggles is next. That's the white phosphorus binocular, meaning two pairs that attach to our helmets to drive at night. And both of those on GSA pricing are $16,634 total. They're $8,317 a piece.
So you want
For two of the night vision and two of the FLIR, the handheld FLIRs.
19,000 some dollars, right?
Total?
Yeah.
What's
Correct.
the hand thing do again?
19,000.
The forward-looking infrared for the FLIR?
Yeah, tell me what that is, what is that?
So that's a-
Through fog or?
That's so you can definitely see through fog, you can see in weather, or at nighttime, if you have somebody bobbing offshore, it shows their body heat.
Okay, we had pictures of that, didn't we? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, got
So
you.
you need
So
the,
those are $1,538 a piece, totaling $3,076. The night vision binoculars are $8,317, and those total $16,634.
and you need one for each, you have two boats that you want to put one pair on.
Correct, I was trying to put them on the bigger boats. The other boat that we have, that Pathfinder, 90% of the times remains out of the district at the river. So these were for the two bigger boats that stay in the district.
So you would have a handheld and then what is it, on a helmet of some sort?
The night vision goggles, actually, they attach to your helmet, you can drop down at night and you can drive
Yeah.
in total
It's
darkness.
pretty amazing, I've seen them.
That's amazing.
And those are the white phosphorus and it looks like daylight.
Yeah.
It's not the green anymore.
Okay, so let's vote on your $25,000. Let's see, we had a first and a second for the, okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, you got that. Now we're talking about the $19,000 for a couple pair of goggles. That's a lot of money.
And FLIR.
You certainly need two of them, right?
So would you have two boats are you thinking you
depends.
might have two events at the same time, or you would have two boats at the same place?
Yeah, you could have two events at the same time or two boats at the same place, right, with the calls for service. We are increasing the Marine unit to two, we're adding two more people in full-time in October,
Ooh,
so,
better to have it and not need it
correct.
than to need it and not have it.
Yeah, so our full-time side of the Marine unit is growing.
We're spending a lot of money today, guys.
Sorry.
What do you,
Pretty much got our budget taken care of.
I'm telling you, yeah. I'm thinking that I don't really want to vote on the goggles today. Because I want to see what else is coming up for because we're putting this all in 2021.
It's next year's budget.
This is next year's budget, which is
Okay.
only 5 months away from now. So,
We're gonna start that,
You know.
July 1st, so.
We did the
probably June
25,000.
meeting,
yeah, we did.
Okay.
We'll start coming up with numbers. I'll
So-
start coming up with numbers.
I would like to hold off on that,
Okay.
if it's okay with the other guys here. Yeah, and see what else we got coming up from the other agencies and you guys too.
You'll be back in July?
Yeah, and come on
Right.
back in
Okay.
July.
And that's
Before the-
all
What do you want
we're
to
asking for
consider
2021.
the handhelds?
No, none of that right now. Let's just, because I think they all go together, don't they? Pretty much.
Two separate.
It's two separate units, but
One's a
you're not using.
$3,000 deal, one's a $16,000 deal.
Correct.
I would rather wait, even though the 3,000 is not that much, but we got a lot of things coming up.
But you'll be back to discuss it before, it'll be discussed
Yeah, I
before
mean-
we lose the chance to buy the.
Right, whatever you guys
It's
need.
not a lose it,
I
you know,
turned in
it's a
the
plain time.
grant application, so however you guys want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that's tabled.
Okay.
But the overtime is set.
Yes.
The overtime, you're okay with?
And then I have nothing else for 2021. So
Okay.
that's it for me.
All right.
Yeah, the application.
That's what I sent to you, to send to all them. You want me to resend it?
I printed out your email. Oh, okay.
I can resend it to you.
Got it a while back, I thought.
Okay.
Oh, well,
Give-
yeah,
give-
because I'm gonna,
yeah,
I
give
just
them,
need to
then I'll
get it
sign it too,
signed.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, Sandy?
Okay, I'll be very brief. I know it's supposed to be a short meeting and we've gone long. I just wanted to touch base very quickly on Summer Haven.
Oh, wait till he's.
Okay.
Okay, now our next one is Sandy's got a discussion on new data for Summer Haven.
Okay, just very quickly. It's been since July 8th of last year where we had an investigatory meeting and decided to move forward with a claim on Summer Haven. I've had a lot of constituents contact me, I've talked to a lot of people, and no particular lawyer name has come up yet. So I'd like to present someone who's named Jane West. And I think a lot of people probably know her. She, number one, the biggest thing that stuck out for me, and when people started recommending her, I looked into her background, I've spoken to her, but very briefly. She's actually handled dredging cases before. Her experience is really phenomenal. Litigation covers a range of things, environmental issues, again, dredging, sewage outfalls, all kinds of things like beach renourishment challenges, SLAP lawsuits, numerous planning and zoning. But again, she's one of the few people I can even find that's ever handled a dredging lawsuit. I'll be very brief. What I'm asking for is if Ms. West could come and speak to the board at the next meeting, if we're going to have a full meeting, and present her new data. She'd like to talk about this case to the board if at all possible. And since we haven't heard anything else and she's got dredging experience, I would just like to put a motion that we allow her to come for about 15, 20 minutes at the most.
I don't have any problem with that.
Without next month's agenda?
Yeah, but let's do this.
on that.
Let's see
I'd
what's.
like to, I've been talking to people. If we're
Okay.
gonna have her come, we need to have the other people come too.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, has she been briefed? I mean, does she know
I have
the
not, no,
situation?
sir. You know, like I said, I'm around a lot of elderly people, so I really haven't been able to get out, meet with the soul. I've just had a brief discussion and noticed that, well, first of all, she was brought to me by some constituents in Summer Haven, and I noticed that she's done some dredging case. So, no, sir, I haven't talked to her in detail. I figured that would be best done before the entire board.
But let's do this. I have no problem with that. I think it's a great idea. Okay, and then Mr. Bedsell had some people he wanted to bring in here too, which is fine. But let's see if it's going to be a real meeting next time, you know, with the full board and, you know, the audience and everything.
Do you expect
So
to have one, or?
it would be best to have it, you know.
We're gonna have a meeting.
Yeah, but-
Regardless, but I don't know how the
Right.
city is gonna, I mean, how.
Are we waiting on another order from the governor before we can go to different levels of, how?
With the other attorneys that you had mentioned, is this something that you're going to send out some sort of a brief? Or are they going to come here and just say, Leah, let me take a look, I can really do it?
I've talked to a couple of them in detail about it, and the whole COVID thing happened,
So,
everything stopped,
okay.
so.
So they're going to come in with some knowledge of what the
Oh,
issue
yeah.
is, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess my question is, can we move forward on that at the next meeting and invite people who, you know, to do something?
You can invite people, I guess, it's up to the board, but, and there appear to be enough seats for everybody, I mean,
12 people.
12 people,
Yeah.
yeah.
not that many people
If
come.
they're
For
not.
public members, 12 for public,
12 for public,
which would
yes.
include the
Yeah,
people that
12
come to
public,
talk.
Yeah.
Or we could even give an appointment, you know, half hour
Yeah, you
apart
do
or
them one
something.
at a time, I don't think it'll take very
I
many
don't think it'd take more
minutes.
than 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes a person, that'd be a lot of time.
You know about how many folks might be interested in
Well,
speaking
there's a
to?
couple of others,
2 or 3?
yeah. And,
So we could do it in one meeting, maybe?
Yeah, I think it'd be a
Sure.
good idea to do.
Okay, we can put it on the agenda next time, okay, for the next meeting. You just put it on the next agenda. And then maybe limit them to 10 minutes.
Agenda,
per
so
person.
Attorney,
Yeah. It'll be attorneys with regard to dredging and,
And they're,
Great.
we'll let them know that they're basically going to have 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
to speak.
Yep. Anything else, Sandy? No. No? Okay. No more old business. Public comment? Commissioner Way?
Yeah, I was approached by the Whitney Labs, and they're asking permission. I gave each one of you what they said. I don't think you guys have seen it, but what they're asking for is that they've been tagging different species of fish, drum, sharks, tarpon, cobia, and they want to be able to attach a monitoring station to the piling entering salt run. It would be below the water line at low tide, but this is going to allow them to track any fish that they've tagged here or tagged in other areas, New Smyrna, Jacksonville. And I didn't see any issue with why we wouldn't, but they just asked me to, to get our approval.
What do you think of that, Ken?
They just want permit to put the thing on the,
Yeah. Ken, is that any, detrimental to piling?
They're private aids to navigation, so you can, if you want to allow somebody to hang something off of them.
Yeah, I don't see it. And then they've also had something that you can look up on their website is if you're a fisherman and you sign up and you have your name in their database and you catch any fish that's tagged and notify them, you win prizes, fishing rods, gift certificates. But what they're trying to do is just track all the species of fish and where they're going. I think it's pretty slick.
Where they want to put them?
They want to put one at one of the channel markers as close to the inlet as possible. And it's completely self-contained, unless it's extreme low tide, you would never even know it was there.
Got a new number 3 right out there, so.
Yeah. So
I'm sure it's okay, but I would probably want to take a quick look at it just to make sure the footprint of the thing is not.
Yeah, I think if you'll get me actually, I'm going to have him get in contact with you, but I saw a picture of it, and it almost looks like a rub rail. I think it's about that long, and it's just completely encapsulated, and I guess this thing just pings, and they know what fish have been near it, and they've got them all over the state.
Does that go in the water or?
Under the water line, there'll be some small portion of it exposed at extreme low tide, so they can plug into it or download data or
They'll have
whatever.
to service it at some point, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Changing out batteries or something along those lines.
I'd tell them not to put it on marker number 3 because it keeps glaying down.
Well, I told them that. I told them you might want to pick a different one. But, so anyway, I just want to make a motion that, unless there's a issue from engineering.
I would be stunned if there was
Yeah.
something that would not be approvable, so.
Well, I just make a motion.
I
that we
second
approve
that
it.
motion.
And all in favor?
Aye.
I'll still have them reach out to you, if you'll give me your email and everything, okay?
Just didn't want it to weaken the piling, and I'm sure it probably won't.
No.
All right, Sandy,
What?
public comment?
I'm sorry?
Have any comments, Commissioner?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm done.
Okay. Matt? Good. Okay. All right, next meeting date. The next meeting will be on
16th of June?
June 16th.
Yep,
Same
June
place,
16th.
same time.
Lisa, when will we know about what the new standards are for the meeting? You'll just contact us when you know something?
I'll let you
We'll
know.
be getting that from the governor
Well, I don't know about
or the
what he
county,
requires. This is basically what they
or
require.
what the city says, okay.
Yeah, so, I just have to follow what they say.
Okay, meeting adjourned.